In this module, The Self and Messages, we take a deeper dive into looking at how you as an individual person understands the way that calm theories interact and engage in your individual life. Many times I start to see aha moments, these sparks going off in students in the way that they write and they think and they start to interact with theories and the questions surrounding theories. So don't be surprised if once you complete this module, you start to get a better understanding of the importance and the background of calm theory. George Herbert Mead, who is credited with originating the theory of symbolic interaction, was fascinated with humans' ability to use symbols. He proposed that people act based on the symbolic meanings that are communicated in any given situation. Symbols form the essence of symbolic interaction theory. And the theory centers on the relationship between symbols, so we can think about verbal as well as nonverbal codes, as well as interactions between people using these various symbols. Symbolic interaction theory is essentially, it's a frame of reference for understanding how humans, in concert with one another, create symbolic worlds and how these worlds in turn shape human behavior. Individuals construct meaning via this communication process. When we think about symbolic interaction theory, we also have to think about our self-concept and how it is the motivating factor behind our behavior. And there's this unique relationship that exists between the individual and society. So, a better way of understanding these symbols. Symbolic interaction theory holds that individuals construct meaning through the communication process because meaning, it's not an intrinsic thing or an idea. It takes people to make meaning. In fact, the goal of interaction is to create shared meaning. This is the case because without shared meaning, communication is extremely difficult, if not extremely impossible. When we think about symbolic interaction theory, I want you to really focus on the self concept, or the relatively stable set of perceptions that you have about yourself. Once you understand and dig a little bit deeper into symbolic interaction theory, you'll find yourself exploring your self-fulfilling prophecies. You'll understand and think more about the way that you talk to yourself, you talk about yourself, you think about yourself and the interactions that you have with others. Your self-concept is the motivation for human behavior. There is this notion that sometimes we can be critical of the self, and it is shown through our interaction with others. Symbolic interaction theory has been a powerful theoretic framework for over 80 years. And so as you are navigating throughout this course, I am pretty sure that some of you will reflect back onto your aha moment with symbolic interaction theory and how this theory coincides with the way that you understand organizations, or the way that you look at culture, or the way that you look about or think about your relationships with others. This theory provides a striking insight about human communication behavior in a variety of contexts. In this module, we'll also begin to understand what takes place during conversations, or the coordinated management of meaning. People communicate on the basis of rules. For instance, if I'm talking, a general rule is that others will not talk over me. Coordinated management of meaning generally refers to how individuals establish rules for creating and interpreting meaning, and how those rules are enmeshed in a conversation where meaning is constantly being coordinated. So when we think about CMM, we think about a personal meaning, which is defined as the meaning achieved when a person interacts with one another. Or we can think about this interpersonal meaning, when two people agree on another's interpretation of what's happening. Personal as well as interpersonal meanings are achieved in conversation, frequently without much thought. Individuals recognize that they cannot engage in a specialized personal meaning without explaining themselves to others. So if you think about it, you have to have a good concept of self in order to engage in communicating with others. The next theory that we tackle in this module is dealing with cognitive dissonance. Leon Festinger called this feeling of imbalance that we may have when understanding things cognitive dissonance. The feeling people have when they find themselves doing things that don't necessarily fit with what you know, or having opinions that do not fit with others' opinions around you. This concept forms the core of Festinger's cognitive dissonance theory. It's a theory that argues that dissonance is this uncomfortable feeling that motivates people to take steps to reduce that uncomfortability. In this theory, there are 4 basic assumptions. 1, humans desire consistency in their beliefs, their attitudes, as well as their behaviors. 2, dissonance is created by psychological inconsistencies. 3, dissonance is an aversive state that drives people to action without measurable effects. And 4, dissonance motivates efforts to achieve a conscious effort towards dissonance reduction. So how do we reduce that feeling of being uncomfortable? Last, we're going to look at one of my favorite theories, expectancy violation theory. It's an important part of any discussion of communication, in particular, the role of nonverbal communication. To understand nonverbal communication and its effects on messages, we look at expectancy violation theory. And one of the reasons why it's my favorite theory is because it's in the title. When people violate the way that you expect them to interact with you in a nonverbal manner, it's a violation of your expectancy of the communication situation at hand. It is my hope that as you dig a little bit deeper into this module, you understand the self, the concepts of the theories that we explore, and how you as an individual interact with these theories in the world.